Recorded at WMEB Studios at the University of Maine, it's time for All Three Phases.
Got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of my energy. They're trying to take away from it. With the kid and pray for you.
Has this, however, detracted from your joy of winning the Super Bowl?
Absolutely not.
Welcome into another episode of All Three Phases. This is the morning of May 12th, 2015. A lot has happened since our last podcast, Cody. Almost called you Jimmy since you're looking at pictures of Garoppolo, but that's a bit of a foreshadowing moment as we recap what happened in the past week. Of course, Brandon Polai here with Cody LaChance, as we are every week. This Tuesday morning is probably the perfect time to do a show, given the news that came out yesterday. But again, we'll get to that. We need to recap what happened in between our episodes, Cody. And I'm pretty sure the day after we posted episode 7, the Wells report came out, which is the report that the NFL hired people to write after their investigation of the Patriots and into DeflateGate. And how long was it, Cody? It was like 200 and some odd pages.
243 pages.
243 pages of what looked like seemingly probable evidence that Tom Brady and his staff were guilty. And I say somewhat probable because as unless you've been living under a rock this week and you're an NFL fan, the Wells report basically took a bunch of text messages from some locker room guys that Brady allegedly worked with and tied those to him being guilty. Personally, I'm not going to recap that much because everyone's already read into it as much as they have in the past week. Personally, I think that as damning as those text messages are, and you and I talked about this on Wednesday, Cody, on Sportsmanlike Conduct, as damning as I think they are, when I really do my homework on it and look at it, I think it's less and less damning. I mean, it looks really bad in the context that it is. But if you look at the outside external, if you look at the factors, like the bigger context, not just the context of the situation of the Wells report and of DeflateGate, if you look just in general, it very much to me looks like it could have just easily been Tom Brady being incredibly anal about the PSI of the balls being exactly where he wanted it. And then there is no proof that they did it after the refs okayed the balls, which is the big smoking gun here, which is what everyone is coming out and saying that they did. I think it's just as easy to come to the conclusion that these quote-unquote adjustments were done before the refs got the balls. I think the evidence is there supporting the fact that the refs were completely oblivious to if a ball was exactly at 12.5.
So why'd they lie then? So I'm going to play devil's advocate. Obviously,
No,
I think that it was both. So why'd they lie?
I want you to play devil's advocate. Because
why did Brady say that he didn't know who Jim McNally was? Why did the Patriots refuse to present Jim McNally for his fifth interview during the investigation? Why did they do all that? Why did they go to all these steps to lie and not do things? And granted, I'm not even going to throw the Brady phone thing into there. That is one of the huge ones that a bunch of people are complaining about.
I already know why he didn't do that.
Well, no, he wasn't even going to actually physically hand over his phone. They wanted him to bring up certain text messages, which he declined. But seriously, the two that really look bad here are the McNally not coming for the fifth interview and Brady saying he didn't know who that was.
Yeah.
Teddy Bruschi, I thought, on ESPN, he had an argument with Damian Woody, two former Patriot players, obviously, had a good explanation on the McNally one, I thought. When he heard Jim McNally's name, he didn't know who that was either. And he said, that's Bird. So he goes by the nickname Bird.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up as playing the Homer's advocate here, saying, well, Brady was probably confused. And I'm just going to come out and say this, that with the phone thing, I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot, Cody, especially on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. that the company, I'm going to call them a company. The company that the NFL hired to investigate this whole situation is to put it in lesser terms, in nicer terms, shady. I believe this is the same organization that proved in a court of law that smoking cigarettes is not harmful to your health. Is that a truth, or is that something I just heard on the internet and have?
No, that was Exponent was investigation firm, or a firm that pretty much gives you the results you're looking for. And they, in multiple different lawsuits, it was kind of like they're kind of that hired gun to come in and prove whatever you want them to prove. So if I can prove that, I can walk on water, like, okay, well, yeah, it's possible.
Wasn't this also the group that proved that the NFL was not at fault for player head injuries? Or was that a different group?
No, actually, no. Yeah, I think that was them. One of the independent investigators. A couple of things on their resume were they both already won cases for the NFL. So obviously, it looked like there was a little bias going on here. But you know what? That's what this is, though. People who are Patriots fans, the Patriots had to have known going in that this wasn't going to be an unbiased investigation.
Absolutely not.
The fact is, Ted Wells already had a pretty serious investigation in the NFL last year, even with the bully scandal. I think that was last year. But
did he do the?
He was the one who did that one. So I mean,
and so you're telling me that he. And I completely agree that Richie Incognito shouldn't have been kicked off the team. But, I mean, I felt like I was in the minority for at least a little bit until people started, actually going through and reading that. But regardless, that still happened. Do you think Brady's camp knew this? Do you think Brady's camp knew that this organization that was investigating them was the same organization as...
I mean, yeah.
So then I understand that it's not handing over your phone to them. You want them to go through your phone with you and then pull up certain text messages. We know Tom Brady. We know the type of guy he is. He's very
I'm gonna stop you right there.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Let's not play the how good of a guy he is game.
No, absolutely not. I'm not trying to defend his character. No, are you kidding me?
Well, where are you going? You're saying we know what type of guy he is.
We know what type of guy he is. He's very, anal about things. He's got his routines. He's got his he's a very mental guy. He reminds me of my grandfather in a way, that he has certain rituals he goes through.
Like how he likes the PSI and the balls.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I was going to get to eventually. But I don't know. I just feel like someone of his ritualistic caliber who trusts, what he knows is going to look at that and say, I don't want them to look at my phone even if I'm with them. Are you kidding me? I kind of don't blame him. I do blame him in the fact that, it does indict him even more in the court of public opinion, which apparently is all that matters now. If you ask Roger Goodell in private with a gun to his head, maybe he wouldn't. I don't think he would say that outright, but we all know it's true. I mean, am I wrong here by saying it's the court of public opinion who's sentencing Brady to this? Because I really don't think the NFL cares about the integrity of the game with this sentence, and I guess we can move on to actually give out the sentence that was handed out yesterday at around 5:30. Of course, I was at work of all the law.
Yeah, the league office closed at 5, and it seemed like they announced it right after that. So then, obviously, Goodell had no statement to give. But obviously, the punishment is out there. 4 games for Brady. The team is docked their 2016 first-round draft pick and their 2017 fourth-round draft pick. And the team is also fined $1 million, which is the largest...
Is that the team?
Fine. The team.
I thought it was Tom Brady.
No. Well, he might be fined as well, but the team is fined $1 million, which is the largest fine in NFL history. So,
and if you ask me, I've seen so many of my Facebook friends just absolutely tearing into the Patriots, and I'm like, could you be any more ignorant? Of course the evidence is bad, and if you take everything, at the surface layer, if you were to take everything as it was presented to you, then I'm sorry, you have a warped view of the world. What the media portrays is not what is happening in the world. It goes for the NFL. It goes for the riots in Baltimore, the riots in Ferguson, or anything overseas. You got to do your homework, kids. And it's ticking me off to see everyone just indicting the Patriots, saying, "Oh, look at cheaters got caught again. You can't win without cheating." If you tell me that you think any of the Patriots' success is from Spygate or DeflateGate, you need to get your head checked.
Yeah.
because it is so far up your rear
Eh.
that you can taste your own lunch.
I wouldn't say a lot of it, but I'm not going to say 0.0%.
Really?
Really.
Really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's solely the reason why they won games or they won Super Bowls, but I mean, come on, Spygate more than Deflategate.
No, absolutely, Spygate more than Deflategate.
And
I don't think Deflategate gave any competitive advantage.
I mean, I think that Deflategate was just a mental thing for Brady. The fact
Absolutely,
that
you and I just talked about that.
It was just he needed to have that right. There was no real physical change in his game, I believe. I'm not a big fan of buying into the fact that it reduces fumble numbers. I have a couple friends who played football. I only played football when I was young, so I never really got into it that much, actually playing the game. But a couple of my friends said that a deflated football really is easier to hold on to. It makes sense, but I don't think a difference between an 11.5 PSI ball and the 12.5 PSI ball is really enough for a running back to make a difference as much as, the four-letter network is going to make it seem. Obviously, they have their own agenda.
They have their own paychecks to fulfill.
But no, this was just seriously, this was the fact that the Patriots and Brady didn't play ball in the investigation. That's what this was.
Yep.
It wasn't a matter. This is you get pulled over for rolling through a stop sign, and then you tell the cop to go F off, and you spit on his shoes. Like, this is what the Patriots did pretty much, and Tom Brady for that matter. Sometimes they're their own worst enemy. They have so much pride in the fact that, they think that, they can never do any wrong, that when something does come out wrong, that, they have to, circle the wagons and all this. I'm not saying that they 100% did it, but it's more probable than not that Tom Brady told them to ticker the balls down. That's my view of this. I really think that they did. I don't think it's a big deal, but I understand why they went through all this. I mean, looking as a Patriots fan right now, what would you rather have happen? Would you rather have Brady admit it after the AFC Championship game, say that, know what, we did this, blah, blah, I'm sorry, and risk being suspended for the Super Bowl? Or have this come out now and have him miss the first 4 games of September? Or, we'll get to the appeal process in a little bit, but say right now, 4 games in September, have Jimmy G go 3-1, and then you have a pissed off Brady come out, us against the world, hair on fire for the rest of the season, arguably, probably make it back to Super Bowl 50, and then God only knows what happens. What would you rather have as a Patriots fan?
Obviously the latter, but obviously that's all in hindsight at this point. And am I saying that it wasn't planned this way? I mean, maybe not, but I'm saying it's just as likely that it was planned. That it was just as likely that this report is full of holes and bullcrap, because even though it may be, people aren't going to take it for that. The Wells report is an absolute farce of a legal document. They changed the opinion of a referee to meet their scientific expectations. And that's going to bring up a whole nother issue for me, is the fact that people are saying that this is the NFL protecting the integrity of the game. This is protecting their image. They've screwed up so much with punishing in the last couple years, Cody, especially with like Ray Rice and all that junk. People getting 1 to 2 games for doing absolutely dreadful things.
Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because that's off the field stuff. This is what the league is. And you know what? It's not right. It isn't right. So I don't really want to spend, a lot of time talking about this, but the fact is, Ray Rice, Adrian Peterson, Greg Hardy, that's all off the field stuff. The fact that Tom Brady messed, and the Patriots and their staff messed with on-the-field protocol and the quote-unquote integrity of the game is why the ginger hammer swung down hard. That's what this all is about. It's not right. I don't like bringing that up. It's a fair point.
No, I agree.
But
my point is the NFL doesn't. That's not what the NFL. That's their image that they're trying to portray. They're like, oh no, we care. But in reality, it's if they had given, in our opinion, what Brady actually deserved, people would have freaked out. 1 to 2 games, people would have been calling for Goodell's head. And right now it's only the Patriots fans calling for Goodell's head. And in my opinion, if they want to show me that they care about the integrity of the game, how about we write down the PSI of the balls and what gauge you used, instead of going all by, recollection that could be changed in a report because none of this is written down. You allow for that to happen. And why are you letting teams take balls out of your sight before the game? if you don't want this type of crap to happen. Granted, I know that's like saying, well, if you didn't want murderers to happen, why do you sell guns? Like, I understand I understand how stupid that argument is, but honestly, you're telling me you're surprised that this happens, and I'm not going to believe that it's just the Patriots who do this type of shady crap on the sidelines. And I'm not going to come out here and say that I'm not going to accuse every team of doing it, but I can guarantee you there's a couple teams right now looking at this suspension for Brady and going, oh, better not.
Well, no, that's what I want to get into next a little bit.
Absolutely.
Is the fact that,
you and I are on the same page with that.
Where are all these other quarterbacks? We've heard from a few, honestly. Peyton and Brady back in 2011 went to the NFL and said, hey, look, we want to be able to have control of the game balls. We want to bring them into the stadium, blah, blah, blah. We want to break them in to the way we like. Peyton's had one comment on this whole thing, and he just kind of said, Tom's a friend, and, I wish him the best. A classic Peyton Manning right there. Where is another quarterback to step up and say, look, this isn't a big deal. The fact is, X, Y, Z, all of us do that.
I know Kaepernick said something.
Kaepernick just pretty much said, half a PSI ain't going to change 38 points. Or something like that, like free Tom, let the man do his job or something. And then he has a really good hashtag campaign right now. It's hashtag storms coming.
But 7.
A 7 instead of an S. I really like that's a good one. Kaepernick is, for as dumb as he is, I like him a lot. But no, where are all these other guys? Aaron Rodgers, where are you at, buddy? This is why I hate that guy. The fact that Aaron Rodgers is such, a little girl, all that's on and off the field. You pretty much admit that you blow the balls up to 16 PSI. That's illegal, dude. That is illegal. Where are you to say, hey, what are they going to do, Aaron? Are they going to suspend you because you admit to that? Probably not. They don't have proof. If you come out and say, hey, this isn't a big deal, a lot of guys do this, blah, 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 but instead, the entire...
Because he doesn't want to get crap too.
There you go. The fraternity of the NFL quarterback is dead. And you know what? When Brady comes back, I hope he remembers this. I hope he remembers the fact that nobody really defended him in the NFL.
Except
really.
For the Patriots. Patriots were the only ones.
Run the score up, beat him up. I don't care. This team is going to be hellbent next year. I've said it, way back when, the Wells report kind of looked like Brady was going to get suspended. We thought Spygate was bad. Spygate, they were more guilty there. They were. They caught them. They caught them with their pants down. And, the Patriots responded by, we're 1 quarter away, 2 minutes away from putting together the greatest season in NFL history, honestly. This is kind of like, this is up for debate. They really don't have the proof here. They're just going by, more probable than not, which obviously is one of their terms to determine guilt. But
and here's what I want to ask you, Cody, is a lot of people are pointing to the science factor, and that's sort of another thing that pisses me off a little bit, is the fact that, They did their own private, testing of the scientific situation that the balls were in to see whether or not the balls would deflate as the Patriots and as scientists that the Patriots brought or got their information from said it would. Now, we've already talked about how shady this group is and how I don't want to believe everything that they say, but I'm going to leave that aside and say, look at the evidence. Look at the Colts balls. The Colts balls were also, underinflated. And they only tested like 4 of them. They didn't have time to test the rest of them. And that alone is kind of stupid to me, is to say, oh, well, it's the Patriots, so let's test all theirs. All right, let's just go check the Colts just to see, oh, we're out of time. We only got 4, and they seem to be on the same trend. Let's ignore that. Let's just ignore that page of the report. Let's do that. And another part of the report from the text messages, which is, in our opinion, the most damning evidence they have against Tom Brady. The refs, during I believe it was before the Jets game, also looked at the balls and said, oh, these aren't inflated enough when they were at 13 PSI, which, in my opinion, is incredibly stupid, and then pumped them up over the limit to 16. And they didn't even check them. Integrity of the game? How about, integrity of your refereeing staff? You can't do anything nowadays in all the jobs I've had where something as important as numbers is involved. If you don't write that down, you're an idiot. Then why don't they do this in the NFL where the quote integrity of the game is the most important thing?
Well, no, I was gonna say we can get into the appeal process later. Obviously Brady's camp has already come out. Don Yee's agent has said,
Don Yee's been on fire
this
this
is,
week.
This investigation was a complete, joke. The fact remains that they're going to appeal, and this report is full of holes. I don't have to sit here and tell anyone that. Anyone that's looked at this report, anyone that's been following any of the media, anyone on Twitter at least can understand. The fact remains that when Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk and Peter King of the Monday Morning Quarterback, two guys that are so stuck up Roger Goodell's butt that they barely see the light of day, when they're starting to come out and say that there's holes in this report and that they would they might see how Brady can get off of this. That really shows the fact of how bad of an investigation this was. This you want to talk about integrity. The NFL had them. They had them. They had the Patriots. They had them right where they wanted to. They had the sting. Whatever. Yeah, the Patriots are guilty. I'm not saying they're not. It was a sting, and it was so badly run that they messed it up. Only the NFL could find a way to ruin this sting. I could have caught the Patriots here. You check the balls before the game. You check them at halftime. Oh, well, the Patriots' balls were at 12.8 at before the game, and now at halftime they are 10-9, 11-3. Oh, but the Colts were 12.5. Now they're 12.2. We got them. That's all you need to do. That's literally all they had to do, and they couldn't do it. That's why there's doubt here. Roger Goodell messed it up. And you know what? Where is the line? Where's the accountability to the league, like you said? Where is this? Where is this?
Tom Brady's the devil here. Tom Brady is the villain. No one else cares.
Okay. Well, where is, the accountability in the fact that, the league lied multiple times about this investigation? Dean Blandino, head referee, said we had no knowledge of the Patriots deflating footballs before the game. Roger Goodell said the same exact thing. Well, who's running the show? Who's behind the wheel? Seriously, who's running it? Is Jim Irsay just kind of autopilot himself? Oh yeah, give Brady 4 games. What's going on here? And the fact that they have to bring in Troy Vincent to do this independent. Roger Goodell has no say in this punishment. He just called for this all. Give me a break. Roger was the one who came up with this punishment. He put it on Troy Vincent, so it looked like he washed his hands. Nope, not me, Robert. Can we still be friends? Yeah, right. This is the beginning of the end for Roger Goodell. As sad as it is that deflated footballs and not, players beating their wives and children was the beginning of the end, this is the beginning of the end. Because Robert Kraft stuck with Goodell during all that crap in the fall, and he said, I think the commissioner's doing a good job, blah, blah, blah. And I guarantee you, he looked at Goodell and said, remember this. Remember the fact that I stuck my neck out for you. Remember this. And now, Goodell did not pay it back to him. This is the end for Roger Goodell. I'm not saying it's going to be this year. I'm not saying next year. The big crack in the pillar just happened with this punishment. And now, I bet within 3 or 4 years, Roger Goodell will not be the NFL commissioner. As corrupt as that is, as much as I love the Patriots, and as much as I respect Robert Kraft, as corrupt as that sounds, this is the end for him.
That's how the world goes round, Cody. That's people want to pretend and read, like I said, read things at face value. See the headline and be like, oh, all is right with the world. The cheaters got caught. That's why no one cares about Goodell, because people have been looking for actual proof that the Patriots have been cheaters for all these years. All these people who are hateful of their success have been like, oh, we need to find some way to downplay it. And now that there's finally that proof, Goodell is a hero. Goodell and Wells, they're heroes to these people. And it's so annoying. And the only way I will be happy with this situation is if, like you said, Tom Brady comes out with his head on fire, after Garoppolo going 3-1 and then going all the way.
Well,
to
I'll tell you what, I don't know how big of a hero he is. I thought that he was going to, I feared.
I'm not saying he's a hero. I'm saying everyone else sees him as a hero.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think everyone else sees that way, like you're saying, as many as you think. What I'm saying is, Peter King, Monday Morning Quarterback for Sports Illustrated, tweeted out last night, one NFL executive to me tonight, way over the top, draconian. There is hatred among the league towards the Patriots. That's what happens when you win. Oh, and I know, well, you didn't win for 10 years, blah, blah. That's what happens when you're in the running year after year after year. When you lose your Hall of Fame, all-time quarterback, and you still almost make the playoffs. You are the prime example of excellence in the NFL for winning. There's no doubt about that. There is hatred for them. And the fact that some NFL executives are coming out and saying, way over the top draconian, that shows that even they're looking at this and saying, wow, whoa, easy, Raj. Because you know what? They know with a minor felony to them, they're going to get lit up too now. Because the fact remains, they lit up the Patriots. They lit up Tom Brady, the face of the league, like that, for deflated footballs and not showing a couple text messages? Are you kidding me? What do you think's going to happen the next time somebody does something stupid? Full season? Year ban?
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see the escalating nature of these
snowball
punishments.
effect. It's a snowball
It's so
effect.
stupid. It's really dumb. And I was more referring to the court of public opinion in terms of Goodell being a hero. I know that there are people within the NFL organization that despise Goodell and look at this and be like, wow, you guys are idiots. And then there are idiots out there like Shannon Sharp who said Brady should have been suspended for an entire season.
Yeah, and honestly, I really don't like, will you guys cheat too? I don't like that game, but
it's there, but I don't like it.
Just let me vent here. Shannon Sharp, yeah. So you should turn in your 2 Super Bowl rings because your team literally molested the salary cap when you won them. Tweaked it so bad that you could just load up on good players. Yeah, you guys are fine. Jerry Rice, obviously, he debunked himself, pretty much said he used Stickum. But he's still the greatest wide receiver of all time. And you know what? The Indianapolis Colts, I don't even know what to say about them. The fact is, they thought a team was doing something wrong, and they tattled. Fine, whatever. You went and told mommy and daddy that somebody wasn't playing nice. Great. Well, the next time you guys pump crowd noise in your stadium, I hope somebody calls you out on it. Or the next time
Watch Bill do it.
that you guys cry about defenders hitting too hard, I hope that the league doesn't put that new rule through. The fact remains is everybody's looking for an edge in this league. Every single team. All right? Do you think that the Colts were looking for the edge back in 2011 when they tanked the season so they could get Andrew Luck? What about the integrity of the game there, Ryan Grigson? You didn't seem to care about it too much then, starting joke quarterbacks. Christ, I'm surprised I didn't get a friggin' call to play for them. What a friggin' joke. Every team does it. It's competitive advantage. Do what you need to do to win. If not this year, you do it for next year. The Patriots did what they thought they needed to do to win. Did the footballs really help Tom Brady's play? No. Like we said, it was his mental state.
Absolutely. I think that Tom Brady is, again, he's like he reminds me of my grandfather in the way that he acts kind of like, someone who's seen some things. He's a veteran of this league, much like, a veteran of life, like a grandparent would be. He's just kind of, he knows at this point. He has his rituals. He has his silly little avocado weird ice cream crap that he eats. He goes to bed at 8 every night. Other than night games, of course. So it does not surprise me that he wants them exactly at that point because, like you said, no one can, or like everyone said, I know Scott Zolak has been on the air saying this for weeks now, months even, saying that no one can tell the difference between 12.5 and a little bit higher than that. No one can tell the difference. So why? Why does he like it that low? Well, one could say it's a mental thing. If he knows they're at 12.5 and then he feels it and says, this is good, it's not really the feeling. He just knows. And one could also say, well, if he knows that the balls were going to deflate over time in terms of like wear and tear during a football game, I mean, yeah, that's fine too. Is that bending the rules? Yes. Is that breaking them? No. If they went and tampered with them after the refs said they're fine, then yeah, that's cheating. And the evidence is there for that. And I understand that. I am in no way saying that Tom Brady should be exonerated from this. I'm just saying they need a little bit more before I'm actually going to come out and say, yeah, no, Tom Brady's a cheater in that regard. And I don't even call him a cheater in that regard. Unless he actually walked up to the guy's face and said, hey, stick a needle in that ball after the refs say it's okay. And then I'll be happy. All that it's saying is that he complained about the PSI of the balls. I believe it was for the Jets game, which is when the refs screwed up. Again, the refs' fault. Like once we get some help in that department, then we can start talking about the integrity of the game, quote unquote. When off, would you consider crowd noise on the field stuff? Would you consider the stick 'em on the field stuff? Yeah, all these things that no one cares about.
Well, I mean,
no one,
you
because they're not the Patriots.
You even look at it at the beginning of this year when there was an issue with, playing with the balls. It was just a simple email, hey, don't do this again, blah, blah, blah. But because it's the Patriots, it had to turn out to be this big thing. And you know what? People are going to say, oh, well, the whole, it's not because you guys are winners, it's because you're cheaters, blah, blah, blah. It is because they win. It is. A game happened earlier this year. Vikings and Panthers. They were heating up the balls on the sideline. And they just said, hey, cut that out, please.
Wasn't there Stickum involved with that too?
That San Diego a couple years back, they were putting Gorilla Glue on their wide receiver towels, and the league got wind of it, came down to the sideline, and on their sideline attendants were throwing the towels back and forth to keep them away from the guys. You think that's not altering with the evidence or altering the investigation? They got a $25,000 fine, and that was long gone. You didn't hear anything about it.
Okay, so let me get this. So let's compare this for a second to see how stupid this is. That's like if the Patriots had their recordings of their PSI before the game, and the refs were like, hey, we want to see that because we want to compare them to what we have right now. And then they tossed the clipboard around so they couldn't get the evidence. That's how stupid that is. That's incredibly ignorant and so stupid that a team like a game with the Panthers and the Vikings and of course the Chargers a little while ago. That's fine though. No, that's fine because they're not the Patriots. And that brings up another issue is I feel like the league was over-punishing to make a statement and over-punishing just because it was the Patriots. And I've heard so many sports pundits come out yesterday, a lot of them saying, you can't do that. That's not right. To which one Colin Cowherd responds, yeah, you can. The government does that all the time. That doesn't make it right. I hate the government. You kidding me? That doesn't make it right just because the government does it. The government drops drone strikes on civilians. Is that okay if Roger Goodell drops drone strikes on Foxborough just because the government does it? I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm
let's keep it football. I'm all for the
this is just
football
crap
comparisons.
This is all crap that's been flying through my head. You can't compare. Oh, the government does it. I don't give a crap what the government does. That doesn't make it right. I'm sorry. And people will come back. Oh, well, that does. I mean, deflating the balls isn't right. Whatever, dude. You know what else isn't right? Pumping in crowd noise, stick 'em, all this other crap that everyone else is doing.
So you know what? How about let's take a little DeflateGate breather. We should come back to it later for the appeal process of Brady. Maybe talk about
I need to deflate my lungs a little bit
maybe
more.
talk about some what the punishment really should be, what we thought it should have been for the team and for Brady. But hey, did you know there was actual football news for the Patriots yesterday?
Yeah, I heard
and for the past week and a half.
they deflated their roster, did they not?
Yeah, and they actually inflated it a little bit, but they also took some. You could say the status quo was kept the same. They added and then took out, so they were back to the same amount on the roster. So, that's some interesting stuff. We can actually talk about football instead of deflated footballs if you'd like.
No, yeah, there were a lot of moves this week, especially yesterday, while we were waiting for the DeflateGate news to drop, the punishment at least. I know you and I were listening intently for that, and then as we were waiting, they made some moves. The Patriots did last week at least, with bringing in some old linebackers, and yesterday releasing a cornerback and signing a tight end. So a lot of moves yesterday. I'll let you delve a little bit more into that. You're more into the decisions yesterday. I was driving, so I was just texting you their names with a question mark to get your opinion on it. But so I know how you feel about Davis. I'm not sure how you feel about Arrington, though.
Yeah, let's start with Fred Davis, the first move of the day yesterday. Kind of like that move tight end from he played for Washington. He had some pretty good stats. Actually tore his ACL, I think it was last year. He's missed 2 seasons out of the past 3. One was for substance abuse suspension. The other one was for an injury concern. He's pretty good. He's kind of an older tight end, another pass-catching tight end. Pretty much camp competition. I think they have like 6 tight ends now. Gronk, Chandler, Hooman, Tim Wright, A.J. Derby, and Fred Davis now. So you figure that at least 2, maybe 3 of them won't make the roster. I think at the end of the day, it'll come down to Gronk, Scott Chandler, and Tim Wright, with A.J. Derby making the practice squad. So that leaves Fred Davis and Michael Ho'omanawanui out on the streets, but that's just my prediction. We'll see what he's got. I can't imagine he's got much left in the tank, but this time of year you bring in as many bodies as you can. You see who can play, who can't play, and you go from there. I think it's a smart signing. I think it's low risk, low, mediocre reward. I don't think he's going to turn any heads there, but, we'll see what he's got. Kyle Arrington was actually a head scratcher for me. The Patriots have lost on paper their top 4 cornerbacks at the beginning of last year now. Revis and Browner, obviously, they both left. Alfonso Denard was actually just released. I don't know if we touched on that last week, but
I think we did a little bit.
But obviously with his release, there were issues with him internally that he wasn't living up to the agreements that they had set. I think he had issues with substance, whether it was drugs or alcohol, that the Patriots didn't want him to be getting himself into, and yet he still did. He broke curfew, things like that. It just wasn't a good situation. But Kyle Arrington's really a head-scratcher. I don't think his deal was that crazy, but obviously the Patriots, I have to imagine this was a salary cap thing because they decided to cut him. Kyle Arrington, say what you want about him. I think fans will remember him getting toasted in the Super Bowl by Chris Matthews a few times because he was playing outside. He's a slot corner. He's very good in the slot. When you put him outside, he's going to get beat. He's not that big. I don't think he has the, speed to just run down the field with somebody. He's more that intermediate, shifty type of cornerback that, can play a guy like a Wes Welker. I bet him on Julian Edelman in the slot, he'd do a pretty good job on Julian Edelman. But, obviously the Patriots decided that, he wasn't the guy. So now you have cornerbacks for the Patriots. I mean, all you got left is really Logan Ryan, Malcolm Butler, 2 guys that were on the team last year. Then after that, it's a bunch of new guys. Chimdi Chekwa. You have Bradley Fletcher, a guy that a lot of draft pundits were high on, Darrell Roberts, one of their 7th-round picks, I believe. A lot of people think that he's going to get some serious playing time. We'll see. I don't really know. The last player they picked from Marshall really didn't turn out. Hello, Aaron Dobson, where Roberts is from, but we'll see with that. I don't really know. It's a head-scratcher for me. I'm curious to see as to why, or I'd like to know why they decided to let him go. I figured they could have at least traded him. I'm sure they were trying to trade him around the draft to get a mid-round pick. Didn't work out. Decided to cut him at the end of the day. That's how this business goes, though, I guess.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been quite incensed to the fact that the Patriots, who desperately need help at corner, especially after letting Revis go, as we've hammered home week after week, is now releasing all these cornerbacks. And of course the knee-jerk reaction to that is to say, something like, oh wow, well I guess they don't care. I guess they're not worried too much about it, which is in my opinion stupid. But in my personal opinion, I don't find that stupid. I mean, these guys were decent. Like, they were okay. No one's gonna I'm not upset with them leaving as much as I am Revis. I'm a little upset with them leaving after Revis.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of upset with Arrington. I give him a pass on Browner, honestly. I gave them the pass. I said, you're not going to play a lot of press man coverage. You're still going to play some man, but the fact is, you're probably going to be primarily in zone now, and Brandon Browner isn't a very good zone cornerback. Alfonso Denard, I agreed with that one. The guy wasn't doing what you wanted him to do behind the scenes. He wasn't listening. He was probably being a nuisance. I don't get Kyle Arrington. He was a model citizen. He was on a manageable deal. He was still relatively young. He was one of your guys that you brought up and you trained up. The fact remains they haven't really gotten a lot of cornerbacks that they have taken or they've drafted. They've, signed as undrafted free agents and, molded into solid NFL corners. Kyle Arrington was one of the best slot corners in the game, and now they just let him go. I don't really get that at all. I'm very curious. Like you're saying, well, he's not Darrelle Revis. I'm by no means by saying he's a top-notch corner. What I'm saying is, who else you got?
Yeah.
What do you got now? I don't get that. They have a ton of cap space now, and going forward, they have a lot. If they don't re-sign at least, at the absolute minimum, 2 out of the 3 of Chandler Jones, Dante Hightower, and Jamie Collins, this is a complete and utter joke. This has to be to free up cap space. They know those guys are going to get super deals, and I think they want to keep that crew together. I just think that they do. For the love of God, I hope they do, because they're freeing up all this space. They're not tying up Revis. They're not gonna keep Brandon Browner around for another couple years. They're letting Kyle Arrington go. They just signed. They re-up McCourty, so he's done with for a while. They got Gronk for a while. Now it's gonna be those young defensive players. I got to imagine you're going to see long-term extensions, maybe not this offseason, probably next offseason, for Chandler Jones and Hightower. I think Jamie Collins, he has to wait to the end of the I think the end of this season they can start negotiating his extension. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure, though. But I just have to imagine that something is up their sleeve for freeing up all this cap space. I don't really get otherwise why you let go of a solid cornerback who's got experience, who's a good locker room guy, a good leader. I don't really get that, because the fact remains the NFL is going to a lot of spread formations, and there are a lot of slot receivers that are really finding their niche in the NFL, and Kyle Arrington was one of the best guys in the league at covering them, and I can't imagine him coming back. Seeing what he said on Instagram, seeing how teammates have responded, that doesn't look like a guy who's going to come back on a cheaper deal, which is what I was hoping would happen. But the way that deals for cornerbacks are going in the NFL these days, I got to imagine that someone's going to pay him some big coin.
So another position of interest is linebacker. I think probably the biggest story that most Pats fans will know was a Patriot for a little while, went to the Bills, and of course going to a rival, had some words to say about the Patriots, something, 4 years a slave, and now is come crawling back to New England.
Yeah, Spikes and linebacker Dane Fletcher, both ex-New England Patriots, came and visited last week. I'm pretty excited about that. They need linebacker depth. They didn't really address it in the draft as much as I hoped they would. Obviously Geno Grissom can play some linebacker, it looks like, and you got a guy, I think Matt Wells. He's more of a Pat Chung replacement or a special teams guy than a pure linebacker like he's listed as. But two guys that have been in the system. Dane Fletcher obviously probably attracts me a little bit more for his special teams value, and the fact that you have three borderline all-pro linebackers. You really don't need a fourth guy that's going to be stepping in a lot. The fact that they run a lot of 4-2-5, sub packages anyways. But, Brandon Spikes was a guy that I really liked him here. I love having a big linebacker in the middle that is very good against the run. Brandon Spikes couldn't cover me outside of the line. If I was a wide receiver, he couldn't cover me. I could burn him. He was that bad in coverage. But, he was a funny guy. I really think that him and Bill got along, as bad as it looked at the end. I think that Bill liked him, and I think that he liked Bill and respected him. I think that he was doing what he did as part of his show to really get Bill's Mafia behind him. He was a captain there last year, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that there was a lot of hatred between the two when he was here, or even after he left. I think it was kind of like, well, you guys don't want me and I don't want to be here, so let's just end this right now. I don't think he comes back still, though. I think that he goes somewhere else. The fact remains that you really don't need that linebacker who can defend the run that much anymore in today's NFL. You need guys that are more versatile. You need a guy like Jamie Collins who, definitely is nowhere near a run-stopping linebacker as Brandon Spikes, but when you need to cover a tight end, you can put Jamie Collins on him and pretty much acts as another cornerback on the field. Like I said, Dane Fletcher's the guy that I would like. Brandon Spikes, as cool of a guy as he was, and honestly, he had one of the best defensive celebrations in the league when he'd lay the railroad spike down and hammer it in. I loved that. I think that's why I want him to come back, and because he looks like Predator when he has his helmet on with a visor and the dreads coming out the back. The guy was a beast. That's why I like him, but Dane Fletcher is the smart re-signing. I think that Dane Fletcher comes back, and then I think you finally have pretty much all of your bases covered with depth. The one position I would like to see get a little bit more depth, I still want to see Dan Connolly return at that left guard position. He's still a free agent, still floating around out there. Tampa Bay brought him in for a visit, but he ended up leaving there without a deal, so he's still available. I have to imagine that the Patriots are keeping a close eye on him. I think that if you can bring Dan Connolly in and at least start him at left guard, that way you can have an open competition at right guard between Trey Jackson, Shaq Mason, and Cameron Fleming. Don't forget about him, and even Josh Klein. You can have some solid competition, see who's going to be the best one, and then still have a lot of depth. If somebody goes down, you can plug and play instantly. I'm really excited to see those fourth-round offensive linemen that they drafted come in and play. Even a guy like David Andrews, don't forget about him, the undrafted kid out of Georgia. They have a lot of options on this offensive line, and I think that you might see a similar start to them with being kind of shaky at the start, but I think that now that Jimmy Garoppolo will play at least, I have to imagine, the first 2 games of the season, if not the full 4, but having him have a little bit more versatility, they won't look quite as bad, and they'll be able to get in their rhythm a little bit better. But I really think the offensive line will be a solid start, and I am totally off guard. Sorry about that. I don't know. That's just what happens when we talk about Patriots football, isn't it? You just start on one thing. This started on Dane Fletcher and Brandon Spikes, and then it turned into
offensive line
and Jimmy Garoppolo being more mobile than Brady.
So speaking of Garoppolo, he's probably who we're going to be seeing week 1.
Goat Garoppolo.
Goat.
I know one. Mike Giardi on CSN, and he's a funny guy. He loves Jimmy G. So I think that the silver lining here for him is the fact that we finally get to see some of Jimmy G's skill set. And something really quickly before we start here, I saw it on Twitter last night, made me laugh. Everybody says how Belichick is two steps ahead of everybody when he makes every move. Everything is calculated. He knows what's going on. Somebody said something like, Belichick is so smart that he knew this was all going to happen. That's why he drafted Jimmy Garoppolo in the second round last year, because he knew Brady would get suspended for the first couple games this year. I thought that was pretty good.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, but it's more probable than not that that's reaching.
Yeah, he was generally aware. He was probably generally aware, but no, I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, so it looks like we're gonna see Jimmy Garoppolo at least for right now as it stands the first 4 games. So that would be against Pittsburgh Thursday night, against at home, in Buffalo, home to Jacksonville, and then the one that really kind of scares me with Jimmy Garoppolo is in Dallas. But obviously, like we talked about earlier, Brady and his agent and his entire camp for that matter, are going to appeal. His agent with a pretty serious statement last night, criticizing the report overall, saying that, SparkNote version, it was complete garbage.
Yeah,
and
I was going to say, I read the thing and I'm like, where's the lie? I can't find the lie here. Like this all makes complete sense. Just like the NFL's results of this report make complete sense, because it's so vague and so open. There are so many holes in it that now when you look at this, you can make those two assumptions, and they both make perfect sense because of the evidence presented. And so yeah, I commend Don Yee on that, and I think that the Patriots have a case here in terms of appealing. And I kind of feel like the NFL had an idea about that.
Well, we're going to stop right there. The Patriots or Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
Okay, because the Patriots have already come out and said that they are going to accept any punishment.
And then
Kraft's statement last night didn't say that they were going to appeal, but pretty much just said that when we first said that we weren't going to appeal, that was before we knew how crazy this punishment was. So they're a totally different subject. Let's stick with Brady right now. But obviously,
the Patriots, Kraft's statements have been getting quite the large amount of flack amongst NFL pundits, but let's leave that aside. I believe Brady and his camp have a very good case here, at least to appeal it to 2 games, and that's kind of what everyone was expecting. Everyone said that anything more than 2 games was too much. I think the NFL knows that it's too much, and knew that Brady was going to appeal, and knew that he had the ability and the case to appeal, and I feel like they were doing this so that way the blame was on Brady. Because everyone was going to be calling, if it was 2 games, everyone who, was intelligent about the matter, not insulting the general populace of NFL fans, but if the shoe fits, and they would have been ticked off at a 2-game suspension. 4 is perfect for them, but the people who are actually looking at this, 2 games would have been adequate, and 4 games is absolutely ridiculous. So if the NFL over suspends to appeal the court of public opinion, make everyone happy with it, and then Brady goes through and appeals it back to 2, people are going to be ticked at Brady more than the NFL, which I think would be kind of silly, because the NFL, could choose not to let him appeal, be like, no, we're not going to accept this appeal.
Well, no, I think that with a case like this, I think the fact is that so many people have punctured holes in this report that the NFL is going to let him appeal. I think that they knew he would appeal.
Yeah,
I think that's
why,
like you were just saying, that's why that's why they gave him the 4 games. They know that it's going to get reduced. They're going to try to pretty much appease everyone, so they can say, look, we gave him 4, they appealed, they won, it was down to 2. That way, not everybody wins, but everybody is kind of all right with the statement at the end. The fact is, they weren't easy on him to start. They appealed, it came down. I really do think that it will come down to 2, the max, if not maybe even less. I got to imagine he's going to be punished. He deserves to be punished. I thought that a fine would do. I don't like the suspension. I'm a big legacy guy. I do like playing the who's the greatest of all time game, and this does take a major hit to Brady's legacy. It does. I still think that he's the best. I am a huge homer, though, obviously. But anyways, I just think that, I think they have a serious case. There's multiple holes. There's never anything, Tom never did say, make sure that these are here. It was all hearsay. It was all circumstantial. The fact that he didn't turn over his phone, they can bring up all these reasons for that. There's no subpoena. He didn't need to do that, blah, blah, blah. It was a, matter of privacy.
It was a witch hunt.
There you go, so on and so on. I mean, they have so much ammunition. They're going to win this appeal as long as it's a neutral arbitrator, which I hope it is. It sounds
I hope
like,
to God, yeah.
We'll see. I'm not sure how that's all going to go. I got to imagine it's going to come down to 2 games, which is right where Tom Brady and the league think it's fair. That's what I think. Actually, something very interesting just popping up from Pro Football Talk on Twitter as we speak, though. Mike Florio or whoever wrote this one said, Patriots have appeal rights of their own, but the real question is whether Robert Kraft would sue the league. They're pretty much leading to the fact that Kraft might go rogue and sue the league for, obviously their strict punishment, and that would actually be very interesting in my opinion. That would be even proving my point earlier that, Goodell's days are numbered now. It might not happen this year, might not happen next year, but within the coming years, this is going to happen. Goodell is going to be canned as NFL commissioner, and it's going to be really interesting, as they say in the article, next week when all of the NFL's owners and, top officials meet in San Francisco for, a big meeting. It's going to be interesting to see if old Bobby Kraft and Uncle Raj have a little talk out back. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. The fact that, pretty much Roger took the Patriots and Brady to the woodshed and said, yeah, this is what happens when you stand in my way. But it's ugly. This isn't what anybody wanted. As we're kind of, I don't want to talk too much more about this, but
Hashtag Colts fault.
I'll kind of wrap this up, but nobody wanted this at the end of the day. This is an ugly situation. The league didn't want it. The league did not want to make their Super Bowl MVP look like this. At the end of the day, it was the Patriots' fault. I'm not as so narrow-minded to think that. But at the end of the day, too, this could have all easily been changed by the league sending the Patriots a little memo saying, hey, the Colts said this is happening. Let's not make that. Let's not have that happen anymore. Or, the fact that, even in the pre-games, if Walt Anderson kind of looks at McNally and says, these better stay like this. Wink, wink. And you know what? That's not right. It isn't. That's not right. That's corrupt. That was showing that they knew the Patriots were cheating. Weren't going to punish them. But hey, it was also corrupt to let the Patriots play with underinflated balls for a half of football in a very important game. Is that not messed up too? So the entire thing is messed.
And that's the thing with sting operations too, is that you have to catch them in the act. And if it's too high stakes, you can't do a sting operation because and in my opinion, the quote unquote integrity of the game in the AFC championship game is, in my opinion, too high stakes. If you want to call that a sting operation, that's an important game. So that I think that's stupid to let them play that out and try to catch them in the act when they didn't even do it right, as you said. And it kind of annoys me that talking about you talk about this is how Roger Goodell might end, and yeah, it's corrupt, but unfortunately it's true, and I can't help but think that what if the Patriots towards the beginning of this, instead of coming out and saying, well, the balls are going to deflate in the cold weather no matter what. Just look at the Colts balls. Instead of that, if they had just outed the 2 ball boys right then and there, the Wells report might not have even happened. They would have just been like, oh yeah, it was these 2 guys. It won't happen again. They're gone. There's so many things that could have happened. So many other things that could have gone, quote unquote,
was somebody
right.
listening to Felger and Maz yesterday?
Maybe.
And you know what? To my response there, if they did do that, do you know what Mike Felger would have been saying? Oh, look at the Patriots! They blame it all on these 2 guys. What frauds? And then Tony goes, "You're right, Mike. You're right." That's what they do. I get your point there.
Yeah.
But this is bait. That's what they do. This is bait. They like to troll. The fact is, the Patriots calculated their risk. They did it. They said we didn't do anything wrong. We are going to accept the penalties. That, if they do say, yeah, okay, well, these guys did this on their own, blah, 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 then they're, in my opinion, labeled even more as cheaters. There was no right thing for them to do. Whatever avenue they went down, it was going to be a mess. Because, like I said, if they do that, then it's like, oh, well, look at the Patriots. Like, they're just going to blame it on these two poor guys and then act like they didn't have any clue. And Tom Brady had no clue these guys were messing with the balls. They covered their bases. They said, look, we didn't do anything wrong. We're going to, you guys have nothing on us. They found they had nothing on them, and that was that. The text messages, as damning as they are, they still really don't. They aren't a 4-game suspension and lost a first-round draft pick, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, your opinion is not.
There you go.
It's not the opinion of everyone else in this country who watches the NFL and isn't a Patriots fan. And I think that's just the most depressing part of it, is that the Patriots will never, again, ever get the benefit of the doubt. They could be completely innocent in everything else they do from here on out, and no one will believe it. And that's kind of depressing. But you know what? Bring the hate. That's what I that's what I said last year when all this crap was happening with DeflateGate during Super Bowl week. I said the Patriots are going to become the most hated team next to the Dallas Cowboys. And
I think they're past it now.
I think they're starting to pass it a little bit.
I think they have.
I think NFL purists are going to be like, "Oh, well, the Cowboys are still the most hated team. It's the Cowboys." I'm like, "No, the Patriots have definitely surpassed that." And when I said that last year and no one believed me, well, look at me now. Look at what I'm saying now. How is it that hard to believe? No one will ever.
I think the only one that disagreed with you was one of the co-hosts of Sportsmanlike Conduct, the radio show here at UMaine, Alex Quirk.
It was probably Quirko.
Just because he is a Giants fan, so obviously he's biased there, saying that, and honestly, because his team's beating the Patriots in 2 Super Bowls, he doesn't have a reason to hate the Patriots, really. It's more of, the Cowboys he has a lot of hatred towards. But I really do think that, the Patriots are turning into the new millennia Oakland Raiders, really, Al Davis, just win, baby, win, that type of idea. And that's what they really need to do.
So long as they don't move to Fenway and start sucking.
Yeah, there you go. That's the thing. Yeah, don't play in a baseball stadium and win games. Those are the two things you want to stay away from following the Raider example.
Well, I'd say the future is semi-bright. It's not too dark.
I was going to say, I got a funny feeling we'll be talking about this again. The appeal process is going to come down. It's going to take months. It's going to get real ugly before it gets clean again.
We will have stuff to talk about next week in terms of that, though. Brady has until 5 p.m. Thursday, I believe, to file for his appeal, and then the NFL has 1 week to appoint his appeal officer. So
right, so probably next show we'll get back to a little bit more football. Then the one after that will, unless there's something crazy comes out. But I'd like to get to some football. They had some rookies in for rookie OTAs this past week. We can talk about them.
We could also keep talking about next week in relation to this. We could actually talk football about what we'll expect to see from Garoppolo in at least 2 games. We'll spoil it a little bit and say I'm kind of excited to see what he can do in a regular season game. But that's just me. But thank you for listening to our hour-long rant with sprinkles of NFL actual football talk thrown in. We'll be back next week, probably Tuesday morning again. We'll see, but maybe also Tuesday afternoon. Doesn't know. It all depends on our work schedules. But we thank you for listening. For Cody LaChance, I'm Brandon Poli saying again, thanks for listening. Go Pats. We'll see you next week.
The Patriots and me. New England, the Patriots and me. Rolling on to victory.
Billy back saying, "Yep, okay, this is messed up. We'll send you postage." So they send me free postage, and that was it.
Well, there you go. That's pretty funny. That's off center like that.
Classic. Thanks, Revis.
It all comes back to Revis. It's Revis's fault.
It was. If he wouldn't have left, I wouldn't have had to get the jersey discount. I wouldn't have to get this one. I could just wear my Revis one.